Have you ever noticed how easy it is to make life all about ourselves? From the moment we wake up, our thoughts naturally gravitate towards our plans, our desires, our struggles. It's the human condition. And yet Paul's words in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 2, verse 20, it points us to something much deeper, much freer. He says, "It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." Think about that for a moment. Paul doesn't just say that Christ gave himself for the world, though that's true. He says that he loved me. That's where Paul's focus is, not on himself, but on the astonishing personal love of God. And that's the key, isn't it? It's the love of God that delivers us from ourselves. Paul wasn't blind to his flaws, his sins, his failures. He just found something that shifted his gaze. The love of Christ, not just an idea, but a very present reality, became his anchor. And it is that delivers us from self-centeredness. It's not about trying harder to stop thinking of ourselves. Rather, it's about being so captured by his love that our eyes can't help but turn to him. We see this beautifully in the Advent season. This is the time when we remember that Christ came. Not to fulfill Israel's political expectations or to establish a kingdom of power and influence, but to save his people from their sins, from ourselves. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 says, "You shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." Jesus came to save us from that very part of ourselves that would place us on the throne. Those habits, those tendencies, those lusts that pull us away from God. This salvation isn't about making us more independent or free in a worldly sense. It's about bringing us back to him, making us his. Advent is a time of waiting, of longing. But what are we waiting for? Not just for the celebration of Christ's birth, but the coming of a Savior who rescues us from the tyranny of self. That's the beauty of Advent. It reminds us that we're not the center of the story. Jesus is. And in that reorientation, we find such peace. John, the beloved, the apostle, in his first letter writes, "Little children, keep yourselves from idols." Isn't the cult of self the most subtle and dangerous of all idols? Yet Advent whispers to us, look up, behold the God who comes to you in love. Friend, the answer to self-centeredness is not more effort or self-analysis. It's surrender. It's dwelling in the love of God. It's his love that frees us from the prison of self. When you really see that the Son of God loved you, when that truth becomes the lens through which you see everything, that changes you. His love pulls us out of ourselves and into the joy of belonging to him. This is what Paul understood. He didn't try to fix himself. He simply looked to the one who loved him and gave himself for him. And that love, my friend, it is here for you too now. In this Advent season, as we prepare, let's ask for this grace to see him, to really see him. Let the love of God break the hold of self-centeredness in your heart. Let it reorient your life, and in that place of dwelling in his love, you will be transformed, you will be changed. This isn't about what you can do for him, it's about being with him. That's where deliverance happens. That's where true life begins. Not I, but Christ. So this Advent season, take time, be with him, and remember that he came because he loves you. He gave his life for you, and that love, my friend, that love is enough.